A back bending practice, making sure that you're fully warmed up before you attempt these. Using a brick, we will also be using a wheel and the wall as well. So grabbing hold of a brick here and squeezing the hands into that brick, really locking in. And as you begin to inhale, you're starting to lengthen up, pushing those hips forwards. You maintaining that length as you continue to walk and lengthen, walking down that wall when the brick does hit, and possibly adjusting your positions where you are kneeling on the floor. You may need to shuffle forward in order for you to really start to work into the arms and the upper body and the shoulders and work into that back bend. So keep using your breaths and keep working with the somatic experience and the feedback that you get from the brick and also the wall. I find back bends against the wall a wonderful insight into where you are lacking that integrity. So when you practice your back bends against the wall, it really does help you to know where you are weak and where you are cheating yourself. You can have a counter asana in between this, or you just relax and take a few breaths as you work into your back bends. And now that you have explored that with a brick, you can start to just allow yourself to use maybe the arms. Keep that chin tucked in to begin with as you start to draw yourself back. Pushing those hips forward, reaching the hands towards the wall, pushing yourself away from the wall, and softening into your breath waves. And to progress this, you would continue to keep working your way down that wall. A little child's pose as you just come back to the breath waves. Allow yourself to decompress from that heart opening and the deep back bends that you are exploring. It does feel more intense when you do it against the wall than when you do it without the wall. But I find that you are probably cheating somewhere. This avoids that compression into the discs here. So I'm taking a strap onto the foot, and you can use those resistant bands or other straps as well, where you can place this onto the foot. I changed the resistant band because it was too soft and it needed a little bit more tension in that band. Working on the quadricep opening here, where you would bring your knee quite close to the wall. It does take a little adjustment to get yourself into that position. And with your other leg, you are opening into the hip, almost like a pigeon pose. And we're working on flipping that grip. So as you take hold of that resistant band and you take hold of that strap, you're going to draw that in and lift the elbow upwards. You can reach with the other hand. We do this in pigeon pose. We also do it in the standing back bend as well, Natarajasana. And it does help you to have that opening in the hip flexors and into the back with the back bend. Again, a little bit more intense when it's against the wall. Remember to continue with several rounds of breath waves. We're looking for that ease and that steadiness. You would repeat the other side as well, but you might need a little pause between both sides. It's always good to have that sacred pause, releasing and letting go of where you might accumulate tension. When we make shapes and we take our bodies into different positions, it does build up tension somewhere else in order for us to explore that pose. So I often find having that little sacred rest and that pause helps you to recalibrate and come back, and we can begin again. So it does take a little bit of time in getting yourself into position and getting that strap around the foot. It's never pretty when you're coming in and out of the postures, especially when you're using straps and things like that on the wall. But actually, it gives you so much benefit when you do use the wall in your practice. I thoroughly recommend you practicing more against the wall, as it really allows you to work deeper into the strength and deeper into the flexibility of the body. So, trying to keep those elbows and the upper arms glued towards the ears. We're trying to not let those elbows flare out. And again, one side may feel very different to the other. So do be mindful if you need to just soften on one side, as it may feel more intense, or it might be easier. Again, bringing yourself into a little pause here, coming into Anahata, that puppy dog pose, and just allowing that breath to return back to its natural rhythm, letting yourself come out of the intensity and soften once again. And now bringing yourself high up onto the knees. As you take your hands onto the sacrum, fingertips pointing upwards, elbows are drawing back towards each other. Coming into Ustrasana, camel pose here. And we've already prepared the body when we did this against the wall. So here we're still focusing on drawing and pushing those hips forward, lengthening through the upper body as you draw into that camel pose. Head does not always have to drop back. You can keep that chin slightly in and allow yourself to have that less intensity in the neck by not dropping it back. Especially if you do that all the time as well. Sometimes mixing up your practice and allowing yourself to change micro movements within the body to feel the benefits of your practice. We want to find different pathways if we can, and not just always be stuck in a similar pathway or a routine. Micro adjustments and movements do allow us to find different awarenesses and pathways that can open our bodies. Again, that sacred pause once again. I find back bends can be quite intense, so you do have to allow yourself to soften and pause. Coming to a standing posture now, Natarajasana here. With the strap once again, and I'm using the resistant band, but you can also use the strap, making sure the buckle is not on the top of the foot if you are using a yoga strap. And again, working on drawing those arms towards the head, trying to avoid the elbows flaring out and pulling against the back leg. You can come a little bit more parallel towards the earth, but this standing Natarajasana does have that more of the chest staying upright rather than dancer's pose where we would come more parallel towards the earth. Repeating this on the other side, just taking those few breaths and those little movements as you just allow the body to come back to its center. There's several cycles of the breath. We're always just pausing and allowing ourselves to regather the concentration and the awareness. Your drishti plays an important part in your practice, so do focus your gaze into one part that you pick. We're going to use a yoga wheel for the next part now. If you don't have a yoga wheel, you can come into bridge pose if you don't have a yoga wheel. And you can just work in some back bends there and work on strengthening onto the back. If you have a wheel, you can place that wheel into the middle part of the back and allow your hands again once to come onto the wall. Allowing each breath wave to be lengthening. So we want to continue to work on lengthening the breath. Chin to the chest when you draw yourself back up. Bringing the hands now over to the feet and allowing myself to inch those hands towards the knee crease into a gentler version of a deeper back bend where the crown of the head would come to the earth. But the wheel can be a good support in your practice. This time it's coming more lower onto the back as I do work into that back bend. The wheel was too far away before, so coming back out and then drawing it in a little bit closer towards the sacrum. And again, it's always about playing in your practice. It's like you're a child on the playground. And I find that there isn't one set of rules for everyone. It's about exploring what you need to do in your own body and allowing yourself to enjoy the practice like you're on the playground. And then we'll be just finishing off this practice here, once again softening. Tend to do back bends towards the latter part of my practice. We are more fully warmed up. We are prepared to go deeper in back bends. So if you are practicing this back bending sequence, make sure it's towards the end of a yoga practice or any other exercise or fitness that you have done where you are fully warmed up into the muscles and the joints and the body and the breath. So enjoy. this back bending sequence.